Hey guys, welcome to Friday Q&A. Thank you for tuning in. As always, a little bit of news and some housekeeping. The competition to win an Axcam mount is in its final few days. I'll probably announce the winner at the start of next week. If you're unaware of what it is, go and check out my video. I'll put it in the video description down there. Pretty sweet piece of gear. The Axcam mount from the Home Musician. You can win one absolutely free, really easy. You can enter on Instagram or on Facebook. So that's pretty sweet. And also, if you didn't catch the news over on my Instagram, on my Facebook page, I will be in Boston on the 27th and 28th of April, hanging out at the Boston Amp Show and the Fractal Axe Fest. So I know a bunch of you guys are going to be down there, and I'm pretty excited to meet a lot of you. So if you see me walking around, come and say hi, and we can hang out and talk tone and gear and guitars, and it should be a whole lot of fun. So this Friday Q&A is going to be a little bit different. I basically just wanted to clear up some really common questions that I get all the time, week in, week out, and also to sort of clarify basically why I do all this kind of stuff and what's my motivation for making so many videos about guitars and guitar gear and I guess music in general. So we'll sort of delve into that. But to answer that last question, for me, a lot of the content that I make is motivated by stuff that I would have wanted to see when I was either starting out guitar or when I was getting into gigging, or basically at different parts of my journey as a musician. I often get comments like, oh, look at this guy, just some other bedroom guitarist or just another YouTube guy. But the reality is, yeah, I am just another YouTube guy. Take all of this advice with a pinch of salt. But I do play music professionally. I make a living playing music here in Perth, and I've been really fortunate to write and record a lot of my own music and play in a band that has toured all around the world. So again, not that that means anything, but hopefully it gives you some sort of perspective on where I'm coming from and why I like to do these videos. So another thing there as well is the whole paid shill thing. I do make fun of that quite a bit. But the reality is, if I'm making videos about pieces of gear, it's because I actually like them. If I get sent a piece of gear, or I download a free trial for something, or somebody lends me a piece of gear and I think it sucks, it's not worth my time to put up a review which is just like, hey, this piece of shit is a piece of shit. I'm sure people will figure that out on their own, unless it's like really horrendously bad, but that's rarely the case these days. So yeah, it's more a case of like, I do videos about gear that I'm excited about, I do videos about music that I'm excited about, and I do try to keep it diverse as well because I like so many different styles of music. And one cool thing about doing this YouTube channel is it has really pushed me to explore avenues in my playing that I wouldn't have done otherwise playing in a rock band. So yeah, that's basically where I'm coming from. That's probably the most common misconception debunked. I am a guy sitting in a basement making YouTube videos, but I also do play music for a living. So hopefully some of this stuff is actually pragmatic and useful for you guys. So like I was saying, I do play music professionally, and I spend a lot of my time teaching private guitar lessons, and a lot of you guys have asked me about guitar lessons. It's pretty easy to get in touch with me on social media, so please feel free to write to me. Either go to my Instagram page or my Facebook page, or you can find my email linked on here. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, get in touch, because the nature of digital communication these days means that the whole world is connected. So if you are interested in lessons, I can pass on some more information about that. There is a new startup music tuition online program that I'm involved with called Musicon that I have done a video about, and I'll be rolling out some more information about that really soon as well, which is pretty exciting. There's a lot of great players and teachers involved with that one, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. So on the lessons front, yes, you can get lessons. Just get in touch with me. It's not something I'd want to bombard people. Like, if someone wants to know what a Marshall DSL sounds like, I don't want to be saying every 30 seconds, hey, if you want to know more, get in touch with me. So I do try to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum. Likewise with the music thing, you can check the video description if you want to listen to my music or buy it, and that directly supports the channel, which is pretty awesome. So on that, I guess there's probably 3 questions that I get asked all the time that I rarely address. And number one, it's not really a question, they're more like kind of, smart ass comments about, if I own all these great amps and I do videos with amps and I talk about why I love amps, why do I use digital modeling, or why would I review a plugin, or why would I bother with a distortion pedal or something like that. And I think a lot of people just assume that it's some kind of, again, marketing thing on my end where it's like, you know, I'm using an Axe effect, so I'm obviously trying to sell you one all the time because I'm getting paid to do it, and that's just simply not the case. And the same thing with a lot of the plugins. A lot of the plugins that I do demos of, I just use the free demo. Like, I just check it out on their website because it's easily available, and I get my teeth into it and I tell you guys what I really think. That way, I think, hopefully, it's best for you guys as consumers and best for the company that they're getting honest feedback on their product and, you know, the demos that they're releasing into the wild. So, yeah, for me, you know, I just don't care. I'm just interested in, like, getting great guitar sounds and getting on with the business of playing music, whether it's a digital processor or an amp. You know, like I said, playing music professionally, a lot of the time, I want stuff that just works week in, week out, that is easy to transport, that I'm not going to have to, you know, pay a whole bunch of money in maintaining, and that's why the digital thing is really attractive to me. Nowadays, it also sounds incredible as well, which is, you know, an added bonus. I use it in the studio now. You know, when I can use anything, I am using my Axe effects, and I am using some cool plugins. So, yeah, there's that whole element. The other question that I get asked a lot about digital gear is, can I replicate a particular player's tone from a particular era on a particular album? And a lot of the time, it's just stuff that I, you know, don't want to touch with a 10-foot pole, mostly for the reason that it's like, you know, if somebody says, hey, can you get, you know, Metallica tone? There's people out there far better qualified to do this. You know, if you want to go and figure out how to replicate the Metallica tone, go and watch Plagueside Studios video on that, because, you know, that's somebody who lives and breathes those guitar tones, and Ryan's method of analysis and the way he sets his videos out is second to none in my opinion. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, there's better people out there. That's not really my forte. Like I said, I like to try keep it open and diverse, and I'm a little bit scatterbrained with a lot of things, you know, like the sort of saying I did in that April Fool's video, like from Slayer to Mayer. And that's kind of my attitude with music. You know, one day might be about the most brutal, crushing metal tone, and the next might be about a really sweet little reverb pedal and a Strat or something like that. So it seems to be something that you guys appreciate, which I appreciate in turn. But yeah, when it comes to like replicating specific tones, there's certain players that I love who I've spent a lot of my time trying to replicate their tone, whether it's like George Lynch or John Sykes or somebody like that. So when it comes to doing those kind of guys, I feel a lot more comfortable. It's there's certain stuff that's just like way above my pay grade, you know, where it's like I just don't feel comfortable doing it because I don't think I will do it justice. So rather than do it half-assed, I just won't do it at all. And I think there's better people out there doing those kind of things. And the final one with all this kind of thing is when people chime in and say, hey, that doesn't sound anything like my amp, or why doesn't my Axe effect sound like that, or why doesn't my Strat sound like that? And I think there's a big misconception when people are consuming YouTube content, right? I'm sitting in a room at the moment, and if I plug a guitar into an amp and a speaker cabinet, I can move around this room, and what I hear is going to be markedly different depending on where I am. So, you know, there's the old amp in the room kind of discussion. But if I want to capture that somehow, even if I want to capture my speaking voice, there's a massive amount of compromise involved. But at the same time, when you're listening to a recorded guitar tone, the compromise is like, hey, you can't really transparently capture that experience of being able to walk around a room. So you capture a static snapshot of that with a microphone. So whenever you're listening to one of my demos, I will always try to list the microphone that I'm using and any post-processing that I do. I do try to keep that to a minimum so that what you get a picture of, more so it's like if you're listening to me demo a Marshall, you're hearing that Marshall through a particular speaker cabinet with a particular guitar, filtered through a particular microphone. And most of the guys who have done any amount of live playing understand this. Like, you know, you chuck a 57 on a cab and you hear your tone on stage and you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then you hear it coming out of the PA and you're like, whoa, that sounds nothing like what it sounds like on stage. There must be something wrong. And you kind of just get used to that. And the same thing in the studio. So a lot of my demos revolve around, you know, what the experience would be like when you're in a recording studio. And I've been lucky enough to spend plenty of time in a recording studio, slapping mics in front of guitar amps. And I always just try to go for a relatively, not neutral kind of sound with it, because it's very hard, you know, to use an SM57 and have it sound neutral, but go for, I guess, what a common mic position is. For example, like a 57 on the cap of a speaker, or like a ribbon microphone, you know, about a foot back or something like that. And again, this is just kind of my take on what I would start with in the studio, where I would start with a live gig, the kind of just default stock settings, so that you're not hearing some like hyper specialized, super expensive microphone in a really weird position going, oh wow, that's such a great tone, when in reality that might be really hard to replicate. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I try to make all this kind of stuff really scalable, and I hope that comes across. So yeah, really, I mean, these, it's sort of been an FAQ in this video, but these are more like my kind of goals and what I'm going for with this channel and why I keep making videos. So I want to throw it out to you guys. What do you guys want to see more of on this channel, whether it be gear demos or lessons or pieces of gear? And it has been incredibly helpful. You know, some of you have been able to hook up me loaning gear that I otherwise wouldn't have access to, or, you know, offered to borrow gear, or being able to put me in touch with manufacturers to get me gear to try. And yeah, I'm just so incredibly grateful to you guys. I do make some ad revenue off this channel that, while it's not much, it's way more than I earn in a year from like my Spotify streaming for, you know, having done music professionally for 10 years and having written like over 20 songs that are out there. I earn like more in a month of my YouTube channel than I probably have in like the entirety of my time playing music professionally from like streaming and downloads. So yeah, maybe not downloads or CD sales, because yeah, no, that's not right. But definitely from streaming, which is pretty crazy, right? And even radio play and stuff like that. So being a dude in an independent rock band and being able to have this platform, it's pretty awesome. So thank you guys. I hope this video was somewhat illuminating. And yeah, like I said, weigh in. Let me know what you would like to see more of. And if you've got questions for next week, it will be business as usual. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys real soon.